Hello, welcome to Behind the Storyboard. Today I'm joined by the AMaazing, a really cool fellow with a YouTube channel and TikTok, be sure to follow, who makes funny, creative storytime animations for the masses to watch. Despite being quite popular, some people might not know who you are, so why don't you give a little bit of information about what kind of work you do?
Well, I think you've exposed me already by, mentioning my TikTok. No, so essentially, my name is Maaz. I'm a storytime animation channel. I create animations based on my life experiences for the masses to watch, not for kids under 13. And I also make content on other platforms. So Twitter, Insta, TikTok, for better or for worse. And in my real life career, I'm, just I shouldn't say just, but I recently became a doctor. So that's my real job now. The YouTube's like a side gig thing. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Wow, quite impressive actually.
Well,
So, why don't we start off with what first inspired you to get into art? Like, I know you started talking about finding Newgrounds and deviant art at the time. Could you maybe go into a bit more
yeah.
depth about how those might have affected your path in life?
Just even mentioning Newgrounds like lights up my eyes. Like, yes, Newgrounds. No, so essentially it's what inspired me. So I think ever since I was a child, I've always been really drawn to the medium of artwork. You know what I mean? Like when I used to live in Japan, we had a really rudimentary computer and I drew Anpanman, which is like one of the animes there. On MS Paint, and I used to be like, "Mama, watch this," and then and she was like, well, this is garbage, and which was true because it was garbage at the time, but I had an early fascination with it, and I was drawing and sketching all throughout my little childhood. I was very much into perspective, and it wasn't until my friend Matoy introduced me to Flash and Pivot and had me learn all these animation programs that I recognized that there was more to it. You know what I mean? And then I found Newgrounds, and I watched all these, influential people like Funny Money and Yotam Perel, and my gosh, like There She Is, which is one of the best series ever, full stop, even now. And that was what really got me into online mediums. I used to watch like Flash stuff here and there, like Ego Raptor and what was the series where Vete a la Verge, I think is the name. It's I hope I pronounced it correctly. Essentially, I just watched a lot of animated content.
Hmm.
And I feel like the ones that affected my path in life are the ones that I kept coming back to. So Vete a la Verge was really, really abrupt and loud and snappy in its humor, similar to Senor Pello, right? And that influenced my comedy as well. That Funny Money, Yotam Perel, as I mentioned, they changed how I would tell jokes. But even stuff like anime and non-animated stuff like Kev Jumba, Niga Higa, and stuff like that. They definitely helped influence my pathway in life.
Yeah. Wow, it's funny you mention a lot of those because a lot of them are the same inspirations for me. Like There She Is, great
Yep,
animation, and Ampan Man. Like,
dude.
yeah,
Yes, hell yeah.
no
We
one
stand.
knows.
Okay. No one knows. Like, so
Yeah.
when I have a Japanese friend who mentioned that, I was like, "Yes, Anpa Ma, let's go!" And so, same with There She Is. When Emirichu was freaking out about it, I was like, oh, "You watch There She Is?" And she's like, "Bitch, you watch There She Is?" And so we watched it together in a VC with Rush and Laddie, and we were just astounded by the visual storytelling. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think she actually met the creator in South Korea, so that was
Yeah,
really
she
cool.
did. Awesome. So I would personally say you have a unique way of drawing people, choosing to draw all your characters without eyes. Can you maybe give a
Yeah.
little insight of how you came up with this personal style of yours?
Yeah. So I have a very large desire to remove everybody's eyes. No, so essentially it came around from the fact that I actually really like eyes. I'm fascinated by eyes. I feel like they're just the coolest thing. The way even the slight shift of it can indicate a different emotion. You know what I mean? Like the way eyelids fold and everything. And my desire in the future, my want or my wish is to become a ophthalmologist. You know what I mean? An eye surgeon or eye doctor. And it's because of that profound respect that I have for the eyes that I didn't want to draw it. I didn't feel that, it's going to sound weird, but I didn't feel like I was worthy. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like I was going to do it justice. And so I just removed them. I was like, I don't need eyes. It was almost like a challenge where if I remove the thing that is the most expressive part of every human's body and every animated character, can I still be expressive? And the answer to that is like I still use my glasses as a medium for my eyes. So I guess the answer is like a maybe. Like it's not technically eyes, but I'm using them as eyes. So probably that's a no on my part. But I'm gonna refute that anyway. It's also like a bit of a personal, a bit of a more religious thing as well. But that's essentially a huge part of it. Just a
Wow.
profound respect.
Yeah. I think that's really cool, actually. I never would have guessed.
A lot of people were like, hey, maybe because you don't have eyes or you want to stab people and grab their eyes. And only one of that is true. I do want to grab people's eyes, but that's, just that neither here or there.
Awesome. So, how did the people around you feel about you pursuing your YouTube career in animation? Are they supportive? And do you think their opinion has maybe hindered you or only pushed you to work harder?
Well, that's really funny. So my parents were, well, not were, my parents are very brown. And so as soon as I told them that I'm doing YouTube, their immediate wish was like, please, beta, like, no, just stop. Okay. Just stop it. Like, just stop. Don't do it anymore. And like, they're like telling me not to do it. And they're like, please, please, please stop. And then they realized after a year that I'm just too stubborn. And then they kind of got over it. And then they were like just complacent. They're like, grumbling. They're like, I wish you would stop, but I know you won't. So whatever, like the passive stuff. But now in the third year, I think my mom watches my videos and she likes watching them, but she would still prefer I didn't do it. But now at least she watches my videos. My brother says like, Maaz, I support you, but I'll never watch your videos. And I was like, that's not support. That's literally not that you're doing nothing. That's a neutral stance. You're not doing anything there. And that hasn't hindered me. Like, I wish they were supportive. I wish they saw me when I go to VidCon. I wish they came. I think everybody would rather prefer parental love over nothing. But it is something. It is what it is. That's the life I've been given. So I just kind of put my head down and work. Like even if they loved everything I did and were super supportive, I would still work on my videos. There's nothing I could do about that. So. And my friends are in med school, so they don't kind of understand. So they're also a similar thing where it's like they're not supportive, but they're not negative. They're just very neutral. There are like 2, 3, 4 friends in med who understand what I'm doing, and they're very supportive. Like I love them to death. And if anybody literally says like, if anybody accepts both my medical and creative side, you get like an immediate plus 100 and I want to be friends with you forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's all
Okay.
really valid. And I think that it's great that you've come so far, even though maybe some people don't support you and some people do.
I thought you were going to say, it's come so far because in the end, it doesn't even really matter, like, just break out into Linkin Park.
So, your YouTube channel was started on December 2nd in 2016.
Ugh,
You are just about to reach 3 years. How does it
gross.
feel? How does it feel to look back when you first started, and how do you feel you've personally grown from that point until now?
Definitely more cynical, right? Like that. I was very bushy-tailed, starry-eyed, like, this is amazing. No, 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 no. I think it's because I have a tendency to get addicted really quickly. I've got an incredibly addictive personality, and unfortunately, when I started YouTube, I fell into that trap with YouTube. I severely got addicted, strained my wrist like nothing else. I had to wear braces, like a wrist brace for 2 months. I had to really just evaluate how much effort I was putting into this, especially motivated by the fact that my parents were telling me that you're making a mistake, which made me really go harder, hurting myself more. So it's definitely, I've just gained a lot of perspective. I know my limits. I know what I can get away with. I have realistic expectations now. And when I look back to when I started, would I say that I enjoy it more or less? I'd probably say less, right? But only because when you start, you have all these, really high expectations of what YouTube is. You think YouTube is this amazing sport, this amazing, like, place to be in. And if you're a creator, it must be like you're eating rainbows and you're crapping rainbows as well at the same time. It's just rainbows full stop, right? But it's really not. It's almost like a never ending grind forever. I upload a video and for one day I'm like, okay, great, I did it. And then the next day I'm like, okay, what's next? Like we never get to rest. And so with a normal job, you get holidays, you get breaks, you get weekends off. With us, we don't. None of us do. And so it does kind of drain you. But I am proud to say that even 3 years in, I'm so grateful that I have this job. You know what I mean? Like the only reason I continue is because I love it. So I've definitely grown more mature, more realistic, but my love for it is more or less stayed the same.
Gotcha. Cool. So how about we move on to questions about the present? What do you recommend people practice when interested in getting into the whole storytime animation business like you? Is there anything you wish you were told or knew when you first started?
Don't get into it. No, kidding. No. I think the first thing, like there's a lot of things that I wish I could go back in time and tell my younger self. First thing is make your character unique. If I have to look at humanoid person number 482 who has a red hoodie and blonde hair or brown hair, it's like, all right, okay, come on. You got to stand out with your character. And animation is an amazing medium because it allows you to be anything. Ginger Pale is this weird looking shy guy creature and people love it. And I have no eyes. I literally don't have eyes. And I'm okay with that. I have a weird alien aesthetic and I'm okay with that as well. You can go as wild as you want. You can make a mushroom. You can be a mushroom. You can be a clock that wears spandex that goes, I know I shouldn't be praising Teletubbies, but Teletubbies are crazy because if you put a Teletubby creature in a storytime video, the idea of having a character with a green screen attached to their chest and then making transitions like that is actually brilliant. That's a great YouTube character, right? So definitely make your character more interesting, more appealing, now more marketable is going to really benefit you in the long run. Is there anything I wish I was told? You definitely that community, get into a community as soon as you can. I'm glad I had the insight to do that when I started because then you can find people like you, then you can build a brand on the fact that you're in the community, you can network, etc., right? You can really just kind of go at it because of the community. What else? Make stories that you're proud of and you would tell your friends. If you would tell your friends a story, then it's almost guaranteed to be a good story. You know what I mean? If you feel like you're being forced to tell a story like school story number 5 or how I tripped and broke my lip, which is a terrible story anyway, but it's like that kind of stuff. It might work in an algorithmic way, but you're gonna look back and be like, yeah, that sucks. I hate that story. You know what I mean?
So you want to find community. You also want to make it something that you can enjoy, all that kind of stuff. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know you must be personally really busy having to study for being a doctor and trying to animate and having to fit in personal time. So how do you schedule all of this and any tips on balancing it?
Listen, once I figure it out, you can tell me. I'm kidding. So essentially, tips on balancing it really does come down to a lot of I guess like what you're looking at, what you're looking to get out of life. You know what I mean? For me, I really cared about medicine and I really cared about my YouTube. So for me, it was very much a 50-50 split. And how I managed it was every single day I was consistent. So every day I did a bit of studying and then a bit of animation. And that's what I did every day. Other times, what works for other people is going 50-50 in days. Like today is an animation day and you would animate the whole day. And then today is a study day and you would study the entire day. You know what I mean? That makes it, that's easier for certain people. And I used it. It's not for me. I like doing a bit of consistency every single time. I also feel like you will never be able to balance the two if you don't have your own health in order. You know what I mean? If you are sleep deprived, if you are not eating properly, if you're not exercising properly, you will fall and fall hard. And thankfully, I had really good friends who kept my health and exercise in order. My sleep was the only thing that was very fluctuant. but even that wasn't too bad. Like I only got bad sleep when it was crunch time on a video. So I feel like if you get your life in order first, you'll find balancing the two much easier than what it might seem.
Okay, that's really good to know. So
Mhm.
you think it's more like you have to find something that personally fits with you rather than being able to set something that other people
Yeah,
do.
exactly. I feel like there's so many techniques out there. Find the one that works for you. Make sure everything else in your life is nailed down. Like literally the three essential stuff is sleep, eating, exercise. Make sure that that's okay. And then you'll find your own technique. And then hopefully you can continue on and be consistent from there.
Nice. What do you think are the most important traits and abilities when going into the field of animation, specifically in the YouTube community?
Ooh, let me think. Patience. Y'all be impatient nowadays. I like literally I see people go in, make their first video, and they're like, why haven't I gotten 100,000 subscribers yet? And it's like, bruh, y'all really out here making one video about the one time you got caught in school? Like, come on, fam. You gotta be patient with it. It really is a marathon and not a sprint. Okay. When you make a video, you got to understand that you have to make another one and have that increase the chance of you being recognized. People have made 20 animations and still not being recognized, right? You really need to be patient. And animation is a medium that takes like almost a month, almost 2 weeks to a month to make a video. It is a long, arduous medium. Okay. If you're not ready to accept that, then you're going to have a really bad time. Okay. If you're in the YouTube game for money or fame, animation is definitely not the one for it. Okay. You won't make as much money. You won't get as much fame. You're just going to put your head down and do work. That's all. Another thing as well is the ability to tell a good story. I feel like animation community gets a lot of flack for animation because the animation's not really that important. If you're able to tell a good story, just full stop minus the animation, your animations can look like MS Paint. Oh. Your animations can look like MS Paint, and it will still be excellent as long as your story is excellent. You know what I mean? So once again, it's ability to storytell, your patience, and lastly, it's also just kindness. Be kind. Animation community is full of introverts. If you're gonna network, you just need to be a good person. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say drama community. You can be a bit of a rude person, but there is a correlation
Yeah,
there.
absolutely.
So I'd say be kind, be patient, and make sure your stories are solid.
Nice. How about we move on to a really, I guess, deep kind of questions. In your
Here
video,
we go.
yeah, in your video, Failing as an Artist, you discuss how you had the sort of mentality that I'm just not good enough, which happens to many new struggling artists. What do you think are some ways to overcome this?
That's rough because it's the mentality that I still have to a degree, and it's a manifestation of something that's normal. So the normal aspect is you look on yourself and you criticize yourself and see what could improve. That's normal. It's also normal to feel like a little bit of an imposter syndrome, right? Like, oh, I amassed fame on YouTube. That's crazy. I guess it wasn't that hard to begin with because all of us view YouTube and celebrities and musicians as this impossible, like almost barrier, right? We can't enter that. That's where the cool, like good people live. But then when you get fame from YouTube, you're just like, oh, I guess I'm here. But then there's such a disconnect from your mind as to what you viewed celebrities and famous YouTubers to be versus yourself that you're just like, oh, I guess it really isn't that much. So that's once again normal. That's imposter syndrome, happens to everybody. But then the negative manifestation, though, is when it goes a bit too far and it says, oh, it must have been easy. I guess I'm just not good enough. And then you start looking at all the other celebrities and YouTubers, and you're like, oh, I can't reach their level. So therefore I was never good enough. And it's why bother? You know what I mean? I feel like when it gets to a point where it's impeding on your ethics, like your work ethic, then it's negative. And the way I overcame it was, I guess, just a lot of positive reinforcement and cognitive behavior therapy, which is just changing your mindset to adopt one of more positive outcomes. So instead of saying, I'm not good enough, I can't believe it, I should just stop. I always look back my first video and I look at it. I'm like, look at that. Look at that. Like, watch this. Are you proud of this? No. And that's great. It's good that you're not proud of it now because it shows that you've improved as a creator, as a content creator, storytelling, animation, etc. And it makes me realize that if I'm currently not good enough, if I work just a bit harder, I'll be good enough. And recently, I've gotten to the point where I make videos and I rewatch them by myself, and I'm like, you know what? That's pretty funny. Like I'm flexing my own videos to myself. I'm like, yeah, you know what? That's pretty dope. That's pretty decent. And so just I guess like reframing it, right? Reframing it is super, super important. And another way I overcame is friends, like having a good friendship circle who are super hardworking, super ambitious, super positive. It will make you shift your mindset from, oh, I guess I'm not good enough because they're better to I want to work just as hard as them. You know what I mean? It changes your mindset like that. And having that positive vibe, man, dude, that's like a vibe check of the century. Okay. Like you've passed the vibe check if you have friends like that. It's crazy. Having good friends and changing a mindset and just giving it time. And like, everything in this world you suck at when you start. You know what I mean? You'll never be good enough when you start because you're starting, you're learning, A baby doesn't come out the womb going, mother, I'm fluent in, like, like it sucks at English. It sucks at speaking and it needs to literally get better at it. Everybody needs to get better at their skill. So just give it time. It'll be fine. It'll all work out. Give it enough time and you'll gradually improve to a level you're very proud of. Okay. So change your mindset, get some really good, hardworking friends, and just give it time. Be patient.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. From what I've learned so far in the art community, I think that those are probably like the most important things that you can learn. You actually have quite a few connections within the YouTube animation community. You've done videos with Danplan, Jaden Animations, and The Odd Ones Out, etc. What do you think is the best way to start making connections, and how do you think people can get a footing in the industry?
This is such a difficult question. A lot of people have asked me this, like, how do you know everybody, bro? Like, are you snaking and getting people? It's really not. My intention every time when I meet people is just to be friends. You know what I mean? There is never an ulterior motive of, oh yeah, I can get a collab out of them. It's very much, I just want to be friends. And so that's exactly what happened when I met James, Jaden, Danplan. Back when I met Danplan, Daniel, and Hosa had just started. They hadn't really amassed a footing on YouTube. You know what I mean? So I was 100K. They were like, we both hit 100K at the same time. I remember that. And so back then we were just friends having a chat, and the collab just happened naturally because we were friends. They were like, hey, you just want to do a collab? And I was like, yeah, whatevs. Similarly with Jaden and James, James is just like one of my best friends on the YouTube animation community. We met 3 years ago in an innocuous server for young animators, and we just clicked so well. And we've been friends 3 years now, and every time I talk to him, I just adore him to death, in a platonic way. Not that I'm into him or anything, but when I asked him for a collab, it was super awkward because I was like, hey, listen, man, I want to work with you. You're my best friend. That's just what I do. I only collab with my friends. And he's like, y'all, you know what, Maaz, I'll do it. And then I've been in some of his videos, and it's just a really, really good time. And the way you kind of do it, though, the best way to start making connections, quote unquote, is don't intend to do it with the connections, right? You can tell, really, like at VidCon, you can 100% tell when someone wants to befriend you and when somebody wants to just know you for connections. You really can tell. It's super obvious. And so if you go into it saying, hi, I just want to be a friend, let's chill, let's hang out, it'll work out like way, way, way more effectively. Furthermore, to get a footing into it, you got to join the community. So Discords, Twitters, all the Discord servers that people are active on, get in on it. If you get in on it and you're active in the community, people will know that you're not just there to just to know the creators. You're actually there to know the people. TJ Tunes is a perfect example. He was always active on Twitter, always active on Discord, and now he's kind of known amongst the community because he's just active in the community. You know what I mean? And same as VidCon, he was there at the parties. And as long as you're active in the community, that's great. That's literally all you need to do nowadays. Be friendly, be active in the community. And I guess like maintain your connections. It's really easy to meet somebody at VidCon once and then like never ever talk to them again, right? But as long as you have kind of regular communications, whether it be tweeting at each other or just memeing on like meme tagging, or having light conversation here and there, that's all you need. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. So, how about we go into your personal thoughts? Like, what do you consider success in the YouTube Storytime animation community, and how do you personally measure it?
Ooh, success in the YouTube Storytime animation community. This is really interesting because the definition for me has changed over time.
Why don't we start with how you first saw it to how you see it now?
Yeah, so I used to see success in the Storytime animation community was, as most people do now, is as views. You know, if you get the views, if you get the subscribers, that's success. So back then when I saw Tim Tom rising to get like 1.3 million or 1 million in like a week, that blew my mind. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, this guy, 100,000 in a week. Sorry. And that blew my mind. I was like, wow, this guy's really just blazing past. He must be super successful. You know what I mean? And it was a result of actually excellent communication, excellent stories, and being well connected with Jade and James and all the Storytime animation community back then. You know what I mean? And so that's what I consider successful. And it's really funny because now that I've, grown on YouTube, being here for a while, I now understand that success cannot be measured by subscribers and sub count, but by engagement from the fans. That's what I consider a success now. To use names here, let's say Tim Tom, 1 point something, 1.3, 1.4 million subs, rare uploads, pretty engaged fan base, people love him. But then you compare it with somebody like Ginger Pale or Ice Cream Sandwich, where they have almost 1 million subs or maybe 1 million subs, but their engagement and their loyalty of their fan base is through the roof. They will die for these people. You know what I mean? Like they are so all in, right? And I feel like that's what success is for me now. The day I got Instagram edits, people made edits of me going like boom and like dance, like all the photos with a song underneath it and stuff. I was like, dang, this is dope. I love this. And so I feel like if you get a large subscriber count, that's fine. But the most fun and actual success and what will push your brand and what will push your marketing is having a really strong fan base. So that's what I consider success now. Okay. And how do you measure it is just, you can kind of tell by Twitter engagement, Instagram engagement, YouTube engagement. You really can tell. And so that's so important for me now. As long as the fans are loyal and they love you, that's what success is.
Got it. So it's not just like when someone watches your video, because that's just a number. But when you actually get to be with them, then it's a person you're interacting with, and it's much more meaningful.
Exactly.
Awesome. How about we move on to the ending questions? What are your plans for the future as a YouTube/animator, and what are you doing to achieve these goals?
2020 is going to be my year. Essentially, I'm attempting to go all out in 2020. I finished my med school. My time is now more free than it has ever been. I can afford to spend time on YouTube just by itself. And so literally I've grown this far with YouTube and medicine being linked together, but now my shackles are gone. You know what I mean? I can do it. I can go all in, and I will go all in. And so my future plans is that in 2020, I'll release 12 animations or 12 videos in total. So one every month, and I will get to 1 million before June. I just want to be recognized as one of the animators, one of the front runners for the Storytime animation community. It's a very weird dream to have, but I imagine the Storytime animation as like a baseball team. You know what I mean? You have your star batsman that everybody starts cheering when he approaches to swing as James, and the ace pitcher is Jaden, ready to just strike out people. And there's like an A team, right? And I feel like I'm on the bench. I feel like I'm not even on the team, right? I'm like watching as a B team, and I want to not only get on the A team, but not be on the bench either. I want to be in everyone's mouth when they mention this community, right? So that's where my thing lie. And I have this year to prove it, and I'm kind of putting all my eggs into this 1 year, like not all my eggs, but I'm kind of betting it all on this 1 year. I'm confident that with maximum time that I have as like now, I can really do it. And so all that's left is for me to actually do it,
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say, as I've just listened to this, I believe that you can do this 100% because as an ophthalmologist in training, the year 2020 is the most perfect year to do this.
What?
I didn't realize it until you said it, and I couldn't tell if you were joking. I didn't even realize it either. 2020 is your year, and I believe in you.
What the heck, dude? No, that's perfect.
I thought you were joking, and I was like, did he just make that joke? And I wanted to stop you, but I was like, I can't.
Dude.
This is too good.
Oh my gosh. You're a genius, okay? Dude, what the heck?
2020 is your year.
That's my year. Yeah, it's now destined. It's written.
I can see that as a t-shirt. Vote Maaz 2020. Honestly, I would wear.
Dude, hell yeah.
So, what are some socials people can find you on, and how can they support you?
I'm on every social media. Maybe not the most active on Facebook, but Twitter, I'm there all the time. Instagram, I'm there all the time. YouTube, I just upload there. TikTok, I upload there. That's the main one, I think. I've got a few ones here and there, and they can support me through Patreon and YouTube channel memberships and my merchandise at crowdmade.com/theAMaazing. So it is just a matter of finding me and just memeing with me and supporting me if you want to. No pressure.
Nice. I was actually planning on buying one of the hoodies for Christmas.
Oh, thank you.
I'll be sure to send you a picture.
Keen as beans, okay? I'm keen.
Okay. Are there any last comments or bits of advice you'd like to share with all the wonderful upcoming artists who want to get into the field?
Once again, it's just reiterating the same thing. If it's a hard field to get into, okay? If you're really keen on it, if you really want to tell stories and, inspire people, then be kind, be patient, and put your head down and work hard, okay? That's all you can ask for. It really is. Nothing else, nothing more. That's just what animation community is about. YouTube is going to swing up. YouTube's going to swing down. It's going to go left and right, COPPA, FTC, whatever. All of it's going to happen. Does not matter. If you really enjoy creating videos, if you really like telling stories, if you really like animating, to just make the videos and go as you go with the flow. Keep uploading. Okay? Up to you.
As always, me and every other aspiring animator appreciate your time. It was great to have you. The links to Maaz's channel and socials will be in the description below. Be sure to stay tuned for next time. Bye-bye.
Laters, and stay Amaazing.